All right, everyone. For co-host Grant Chicano, my name is Jose Gonzalez, and you are watching the Full Count.
Well, first we're going to be talking about the NFL. Looks like this week has been definitely showing a week of who are the teams that are going to probably have the best shot of making the playoffs and what teams. New England. New England's on a tear. They're now pretty sure 5-1 now.
Whereas my NFC Panthers are doing extremely bad.
Oh, the Bears. I'm. They give it up. I'm not impressed with the Bears. The Bears, they need to wait until at least next season. The one person they need to get rid of is Jay Cutler. I know I said it last episode. Not performing well. And he's making it worse for the team than better anyway, but that's just my point of view.
He's being paid Aaron Rodgers money to be like some third string nobody.
Because Green Bay beat Chicago 26-10, and that's an NFL football game. 26-10. Wow. And one team that is becoming very surprising this year, I would say, would have to be the Minnesota Vikings. They're now 5-0. And at number 2, the next surprising team is the Dallas Cowboys. They're now 5-1. And I can't believe that. I also heard on the ESPN from Stephen A. Smith off of First Take that it's possible that Tony Romo will be the starting quarterback again for the Dallas Cowboys. But really, it should be Dak Prescott.
You can't do that. You cannot.
Oh, I completely agree. Stephen A. Smith, the next Kellerman, has even said to take him out when he's producing a lot better compared to Romo has had injury after injury after injury. So it's not doing well in the case for Tony Romo to be the starting quarterback. But
why take out Dak? I mean, he's been doing pretty well so far for his first go around.
But okay, with to the actual games themselves, here are the games that are going to be happening tomorrow. First game is Indianapolis versus Tennessee. Indianapolis is 2-4. Tennessee is 3-3. It's a divisional rival match. I would have to say I'm going to probably go with Tennessee. They're at home. Even though they are 1-2, they're better on the road. But overall, they just seem to have a better team overall this year than the Colts. So I'm going to go with Tennessee, especially with having Marcus Mariota on that team. That helps them a lot, especially with the run. Indianapolis has been better about the pass. I'm going to have to go with Tennessee winning that one.
Okay. I'm going to go with Tennessee, too.
Next, it's Pittsburgh versus New England. New England will take on Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's 4-2. New England's 5-1. That is going to be a tough matchup. But I'd have to say overall right now, Pittsburgh has had some losses. I think Landry is one of the players that are out right now and possibly for the season. So I got to go with New England winning that one. If the Steelers just would have a little bit more ingredients with them, I think it's possible. The Steelers could win, but not with some people are out. I think Landry's on pretty sure is one of them.
And I think you heard it live. Cubs win the pennant. But back to the NFL real quick. What's up next?
Next game would be Seattle versus Arizona. Seattle's 4-1. Arizona's 3-3. It's also a divisional rival match. I think Seattle's going to win. I think Seattle probably has the best shot of winning the NFC West this year. So I'm going to go Seattle beating Arizona. Since Arizona's 3-3, they're decent.
Well, the NFC West is pretty much in shambles.
I'd say most of the NFC West is in shambles, besides the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, they're 4-1. If they would win, I either one. So I'm going to Seattle winning that game, which will be on Sunday night at 8:30 on NBC.
Oh, we on week 8?
No, we're on week 7 of the NFL schedule.
Okay.
Week 7.
I'm thinking we're a week ahead for some reason.
Next, then, what's your prediction in Seattle versus Arizona?
I'm gonna go Seattle on this one.
And then, of course, you got the LA Rams against the New York Giants. Oh boy, that's going to be an intriguing game.
In London, by the way. So.
But New York versus LA, that's going to be an evenly played match for pretty sure. But it wouldn't surprise me. I'm going to go with this team, even though I'm not highly impressed with them. I'd rather see the away team win, which is the New York Giants, but I don't think they will. I'm going to go with the LA Rams on this one because the LA Rams, the teams you think that they're not going to beat, they beat them, and I don't think they can beat the New York Giants. But I'm going to go with LA beating the New York Giants on this one.
I'm going with LA on this one. I think they'll pull some sort of what's what I'm looking for, chicanery, and maybe get an upset.
Next game we have is New Orleans at Kansas City. If you want to talk about one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL this year, it's definitely the New Orleans Saints. They're 2-3 right now in the NFC South, 1-2 in the conference. They're just plummeting.
That's not really disappointing. I mean, New Orleans has been, I'd say, rebuilding for a few years. I mean,
true, but I think New Orleans Saints can do better.
Now, if you want to talk disappointing, go to Carolina.
New Orleans Saints, I think, is in that league also for now. Thing is, the problem is Drew Brees is getting older. I mean, I love Drew Brees. He's been a decent quarterback, but we've got younger guys now coming in like Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan's been in the league a few years. I don't really consider him anymore.
He's on the younger end. I know he's younger than Brees.
Okay.
But Brees, he's been there for a while now. And I hope he could win at least another Super Bowl at some point, but it'd be extremely hard for that to happen because of them getting fined for having a little extra payoff for going after players and making sure they get them injured so they can go on to the playoffs. But I'm going to have to go with Kansas City beating New Orleans at Kansas City.
I have to agree more. They're probably going to get trounced.
Now, this matchup, I'm pretty sure won't be close either. It's the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Minnesota's 5-0. Philadelphia Eagles is 4-2. I'm going to have to go with the Minnesota Vikings. They're on a good streak. I think they can win. They're just gonna have, or at least everyone else is gonna have to wait and see if that does happen. But I think Philly's gonna have a hard time beating the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm gonna say Minnesota too, but I say that they barely edge out Philly.
I would agree with that. I think that's probably a good call. So I have to still go with Minnesota barely edging out Philly. So hopefully Minnesota Vikings will win that game. Next game we've got is the Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh boy. Should I pronounce or say this? Toilet bowl? Because I mean this is typical, at least for football, typical for Cleveland and Cincinnati. They're usually the lowest of the low. Cleveland's 0-6 now for the season. 0-6. Even the Chicago Bears are still doing better than the Cleveland Browns.
That's saying a lot.
And Cincinnati is only at 2-4. I don't know what you could say really about this game, except for it's going to be a disaster anyway. But if you really look at it, I think Cleveland will get their first win because Cincinnati, they always think that they're gonna get one in on someone. And
This game's gonna be like that jobber match we don't want to watch. I'm like,
this is like how should I say this? This game is sort of like the women's match for the WWE, where you go, yawner.
I don't know. The women have gotten better though.
I agree with that, but I'm saying like when it was the Divas Championship, when it was those matches for the Divas title, that's when it got boring.
Help. What? Yes, I saw. Well, yes, I know. Okay, what's next game, Grant?
Next game is Washington versus Detroit.
I can hear from my room, so. Really?
Yes. And the team who I think is going to win that game, I'm going to have to go with the Detroit Lions. Even though they're 3-3, I think it's possible that the Redskins could possibly lose to the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are at home. They aren't doing too bad, but the Redskins, I think they could have done better in their last game of last week, which, if I remember right, was against I'm pretty sure it was against the NFC opponent. That's why I'm going on watching Redskins profile on ESPN.
All right. Sorry about that phone call. Anyway, see, Washington, Detroit. It's a tough call. Going to.
Okay, their last. I'm gonna have to probably go with Detroit also. Washington play against the Eagles. They barely beat them 27-20, but Cousins, he's doing okay, but I think he could do better. Yeah.
Not like the Kirk Cousins that I guess I don't know if he. But he's not like the Kirk Cousins that kind of rises to the occasion.
Even so, it's not looking well for the Redskins. But it's possible the Redskins could win, but I think Detroit has the edge. And then here's another crappy game for the NFL. Well, at least for one team. The Oakland Raiders at Jacksonville. Oakland's 4-2, Jacksonville's 2-3. And we're going to go with Oakland on this one. I think Oakland's starting to get their groove back again. And I think it's possible they could make the playoffs this year.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, we've still got a whole lot of season left, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Oakland on that one. All right, do we got money in that game?
Not yet. I'll be getting to it.
Okay.
Next game is Buffalo versus Miami, Florida. Buffalo against Miami. The Miami Dolphins. Miami is 2-4. Sorry, and Buffalo is at 4-2. I'm gonna go with Buffalo. This seems like the old days of the Buffalo Bills when they made it to 4 straight Super Bowls but couldn't win one. I think that they're a team that also is like a contender of making the playoffs possibly. So I'm going Buffalo beating Miami. And Buffalo's beating some teams that you wouldn't even expect them to beat.
Well, I will agree. I mean, Buffalo has picked it up this season. Granted, they're in a division with New England, so
Miami's in their division also.
Also true. I don't know why I think Miami's in the South. I'm gonna go with Buffalo in this one.
Next, we've got the Baltimore Ravens against the New York Jets, and it's at the New York Jets. Jets are 1-5. Baltimore is only at 3-3. This is going to be the dark horse game. I'm pretty sure. It could go either way, but I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. I just think they've got a little bit better team than the New York Jets, but I could be wrong on that.
I don't know. I'm gonna say Baltimore, but it's gonna be one of those. I think with it being a division game, it's gonna be one of those games that New York's actually gonna fight.
Next game we've got is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the San Francisco 49ers. Whew. And even this game is going to be, I think, a little rough. Jameis Winston, he's improving. I think Tampa Bay is showing improvement. But they're playing against the San Francisco 49ers, who are now 1-5 for the season. So I think that's gonna be a rough game. But if I have to choose, I'm going to go Tampa Bay beating San Francisco. San Francisco is just not showing me anything.
I'm gonna agree there. I mean, San Francisco really hasn't done a whole lot. I mean, I think the whole Kaepernick situation kind of just let their season just tank.
I would agree with that. No, going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers game, yes, Landry Jones. I remember it's possible. I heard that it's possible he may be out of the game. I don't know if that's a true thing, but I know it's been a rumor being passed around because I remember he did hurt himself last game. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Next game we've got is the San Diego Chargers versus the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta.
San Diego's 2-4. Atlanta's 4-2. You've got Matt Ryan wins on that one. I don't think it's gonna be even. I mean, it might be a close game, but it'll depend.
I'm going with Atlanta by a landslide.
But I'm going to have to go with the Falcons in winning that game. And then the Monday Night Football game, the Houston Texans versus the Denver Broncos. And to be honest, I think this game actually is probably the best game out of all the NFL this week.
Okay, really? I'd like to know why.
Well, they're both 4-2. The game that's supposed to be the best game is NBC. Seattle's 4-1, Arizona's 3-3. Both Houston and Denver are both 4-2, and one of those teams, if one of the teams that would lose, probably will not make the playoffs after that game. One of those teams probably will be out for the playoffs after this game here. So there's a lot riding on that. And the team I think that's going to win, it's at Denver. I'm going to Denver Broncos, who are at 4-2.
Maybe tough call. I don't know. I'm gonna say Houston pulls it out, but they got to fight to pull it out.
But I think overall for this past week and this week, there's some teams that are definitely showing that they are beginning to be playoff bound. Obviously, the Patriots are showing that they will probably be in the playoffs at the end of the regular season. Same with the Minnesota Vikings, teams that I think still have a shot of making it. Buffalo Bills, in the Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans, Tennessee Titans, in the Raiders, Broncos, and the Chiefs. I think all have a good shot of AFC making the playoffs. The 6 teams that I think will make it: the Broncos, the Raiders, the Texans, the Steelers, the Patriots, and the Bills for the AFC. And the NFC, I'm going to go with the Cowboys, Vikings, Packers, Falcons, Seahawks, and possibly could be the Redskins also. the Redskins probably might be the last team in the playoff picture. But I think right now it's a flip-flop between the Redskins and Eagles. That's the 6th spot will be the toughest spot to determine.
That's a fair assessment. I mean, but you gotta remember we got a lot of football left. Still
Very true.
Still left. So.
And now flipping on from the NFL now to Major League Baseball. Obviously, the big announcement is the Chicago Cubs have now won the NL pennant. They will face the Cleveland Indians in the World Series.
And who'd have thought the Indians would have made it? I thought they'd have been like knocked out by Boston, but Boston's offense is.
Boston was doing decent throughout the regular season, but Cleveland has been improving, and it's about who's the hottest team. In my mind, I think the hottest team is the Cleveland Indians. The Cubs have been winning all season long. Teams that tend to have the best record tend not to win the World Series. They tend to lose at some point. And Cubs really have not had a bad losing point. I think it's possible they could still win. Cleveland Indians, they are somewhat of a tough team.
Oh, I agree. I mean,
it's going to go to at least 6-7 games. I'm pretty sure on that. But the thing that helps the Cleveland Indians this year, the AL won the All-Star game, so they get home field advantage on that. So if I would have to pick,
it went 7.
So if I would have to pick, it would probably be the Cleveland Indians that I think will win the World Series because they get home field advantage. Because even if they go through 7 games will be at Cleveland. The first 2 will be at Cleveland. The middle 3 will be at Chicago, and then the last 2, if necessary, the last 3 if necessary, but the last 2 will be in Cleveland again.
I want to see the Cubs pull it out just to say I was there.
The thing is, I'm not really a Cubs fan. I don't really particularly care much for the Cubs. And actually, from what I see from the Indians, from what I see from both baseball teams, yeah, okay, the LA Dodgers weren't quite so high, but the Indians, they tore apart the Boston Red Sox. Well, not the Boston Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and they won it 4-1. Where with the Cubs, they went 4-2, so they won 6 games. Indians only won 5. I think the Indians have a better shot of winning. And another thing that helps them is they're the first team to win their pennant. So I think that will help them out later on in the World Series.
I don't really see how that makes any sense. I mean, we'll see come Tuesday, what happens with Game 1. In Cleveland, by the way, so.
I was saying historically, when it comes to the playoffs, teams that tend to win the pennant first and then get to the World Series tend to have a better chance of winning the World Series than the teams that make it in later on. Because the team that tends to play longer tends to have a rougher time getting through the whole playoffs because obviously they're fatigued. They've got a longer schedule to play, obviously, where the Indians have a lot of rest time. But that could prove also the Indians wrong for having too much.
And I think last year the Cubs had a lot of rest time, and they ended up getting bounced out. And actually, they didn't get swept last year.
But the thing that sort of helps both teams is that Indians win 5 games, Cubs win 6 games. So for the most part, it evens out. It was just Cubs have to play 1 extra game compared to the Indians, so it's not really that.
So you're
not really that.
You're saying Indians and how many?
Indians at 6.
This is where we start disagreeing. I'm gonna say Cubs in 7. I say they go all 7 games. And really only because I want to see him pull it off. Just not for all the bandwagon fans that could come on like out of the woodwork. They'll be like, "Oh, look at me! Look at say I have a championship." You don't get nothing.
But and I'm just trying to remember what Rose Chapman's ERA was when he was with the Yankees, because I'm pretty sure when he was with the AL, his ERA was not too hot when he was with the Yankees for a while. Because I think that could definitely, or could definitely make them. If I remember, he was with me not doing quite so hot with them, and if I'm pretty sure they played against the Indians. I know they watched the Indians. If I remember right.
Well, you also got to remember, since you're starting in Cleveland, you also got the DH rule.
And with the DH, that usually tends to favor the AL more often than NL anyway. So this does help out the NL once in a while, but not often.
Well, the NL so used to having their pitchers hit, but when they don't, it takes them out of that rhythm.
But at least in this game, where they actually won the pennant, Chapman really capitalized big time on this game.
These would have been with their first pennant since 45 or something?
It sounds close.
Because they didn't win last year. So.
And his regular season ERA was 1.55.
Not too bad for a closer. But, let's see. Next, you wanted to talk college football, so I'll let you take it for.
Well, college football, from what I've seen, it's almost down to basically 4 teams. We're getting close. There's not 4 teams. Let's say there's only 6 teams involved still that could possibly make the playoff, but it will be cut down to 4 at some point. And Ohio State and Michigan from the ACC, it's Clemson, and Louisville from the SEC, it's Alabama, and from the Pac-12, it's Washington. We'll probably make it. Well, I think it'll be Ohio State for the Big Ten, Clemson for the ACC, Alabama for the SEC, and Washington for the Pac-12. Those 4 overall, I think, are showing that they are the best 4 teams in the nation right now. And they are doing a superb job, especially Alabama and Ohio State. They're undefeated still all season long. They're annihilating their opponents. It's unbelievable. And I think most people would agree in consensus that would be Ohio State versus Alabama national title game. But things could mess up really quickly. It's college football. Anything can happen. Same thing like the NFL. Anything can happen. But I think we'll win it all right. And overall, I'm going with Bama. I think Bama will be the team that will win the national title. They are destroying their opponents like none other.
Yeah, but unlike college football, or actually unlike the NFL, like 1 loss in college football and you face your season done. I mean,
well, the reason why 1 loss hurts you a lot more is that there's way more teams. There's a lot more teams.
Of course.
And then you also have your strength of schedule, because obviously not every team can play each other. So that's why they have to come with a decent formula, and that's why they have voting from the AP, which are the writers, and UC Today, which are from the coaches, obviously. And they compile all those together, and then come up with the top 4 teams that they think are the best 4 teams of that year that should play in the playoff. but that's why one loss tends to hurt college football teams than like it would for the NFL, because the NFL you've got way fewer teams, and that's why you have, and that's why I like the NFL football season better, because you've got the 16-game season, and it's mapped out perfectly. Because in the NFL you've got 6 divisional games, you play 4 teams in intra-league conference games, so like the AFC East probably could face the AFC West, but then they would also face division in the NFC. So it could be like that, like say maybe possibly this year, let's say the Patriots are first place. They'll play all the first place teams of the AFC. They play obviously their own division for 6 games. They'll play another division within their own conference. Let's say it's the AFC West this year. So that would be already right there. 12 games, and then 4 games against any NFC division, whether it's the North, East, South, or West. But unlike with NCAA football scheduling, you can't face everyone, because obviously there's so many colleges that you just don't have the time. So you've got to find the teams that you think are good enough to play against your team. And that's why with Bama has usually one of the top 10 schedules every year in college football. And that's why Bama, I think, has the best shot of winning the national title, because even their own conference. Texas A&M, Mizzou, no one's even coming close to being Alabama. No one. The only one that probably may come close to Ohio State, but even Ohio State doesn't even get the recruits that Alabama does. And that's why I think Alabama.
I don't know if that's just unfair or if Alabama's just that good.
I think Alabama's just that good, because you do look at past years, like the past 10 years, SEC's won most of the national titles in the last 10 years anyway. I think that definitely shows something of how good the SEC is compared to any of the other conferences in the NCAA. When you put the Pac-12, the American football, the American Conference, the Pac-12, the Big 12, the ACC. SEC is the mecca of all college football conferences.
Fair to say. But I mean, maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm just old school. But I like the bowl system more.
I completely agree, but fortunately, thanks to the politics and that. But I sort of see the point of politics that should be more of a playoff tournament format. I agree. To be honest, I think there should be more than 4 teams. But I do like the old bowl format better. I think that actually made sense. That the top team would be in the national title game, and so would the number 2 team out of all the nations. But now it's a playoff format, so technically you still got the top 4 teams, but now it's somewhat of a tournament, even though it's only 4 teams anyway. But it was thanks to all political crap anyway a while back that there should be more teams in the NCAA playoffs. So this is what we get now, and this is probably the best system that we've got as of now.
Like, if you want more teams like in the NCAA playoff, get better. Don't lose it. Don't lose as much. There you go.
And then now going from college football to wrestling.
Oh boy. You want to talk about this James Ellsworth dude real quick?
James Ellsworth. Oh dear. I can't believe how they're writing about with AJ Styles. Listen to James Ellsworth just to help out Dean Ambrose, just to make him make him be a face anyway, and have Styles the heel for now. I think it's a bad move. I think it's a really bad move for the WWE that they're doing this.
Apparently, I guess this dude outsold John, almost outsold John Cena in merchandise sales.
And this guy's nothing but, at least the character he's playing right now is nothing but a wannabe anyway.
I'm not wannabe Zach Gallen with 2 legs.
And yet Dean Ambrose helps him out to beat AJ Styles. Wow, that is probably one of the worst storyline I've ever have seen in the WWE. I think it's very sloppy writing. I think it's very subpar writing. I really couldn't find anyone else better in storyline. Just this guy named James Ellsworth, just because they had the, and basically what he is a fill-in. He's not really doing much to improve the storyline or the show. He's just a fill-in until you find someone that may be compatible, or at least someone that has good strengths that can build up the storyline between AJ Styles and someone else to be a good rival of theirs.
I mean,
And
I
we
don't
know,
want to give him the belt, but think about what if they actually did give him the belt? That just, I don't know. That just doesn't sound right.
well, at least thank God Shane McMahon is not part of the writing part of it anymore. He's actually part of the management part now. That's the one thing I am glad about. But even the writing, you get these Hollywood writers, and I think that's what they're trying to do, is try to show an underdog beat one of the big top stars in wrestling.
And that works, but you don't want to do it all the time, otherwise it loses its value.
I think it's already lost its value. They've done it twice already. I was in the two matches. Ellsworth doesn't even win cleanly. Dean Ambrose has to do something to AJ Styles to help Ellsworth win.
Like in one match, like Dean's the referee. I'm like, we all know AJ's gonna lose.
So, am I impressed with it? Not really. But the one thing I am impressed with is, well, first pay-per-view that we'll be talking about is Hell in a Cell. For the first time ever in history, there will be two women in the Hell in a Cell match, which will be Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for the WWE Raw Women's title. Who I think is going to win? Sorry, I know Charlotte has been on that long run. It's possible Charlotte may win it back when it gets to WrestleMania time, but right now, Sasha's going to win it.
Now, do you see them putting that on as the main event?
Actually, I could possibly see that being the main event for Hell in a Cell.
But from a booking standpoint, should they?
No. If you really want to talk about what the big match should be, it should be for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Well, not heavyweight, WWE Universal title. Owens versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
That should be the main event.
That's just
Right below that should be the women's match. And the first match, to start it off, should be Roman Reigns versus Rusev for the United States title. That's the way I see it.
Don't get me started on Roman Reigns.
And I don't think any titles are going to be switching at all on this pay-per-view. Especially when you've only got 3 matches, and this just seems like a pay-per-view that...
We have 3 matches? Like 3 announced matches or 3 matches total? Because there's probably going to be a bunch of filler stuff.
There might be a lot of filler stuff, but from what I heard, I thought it was just going to be only basically 3 big matches for that pay-per-view for Hell in a Cell.
I mean, back to Ellsworth for a minute. If they put him like in the Royal Rumble, okay, that's just I'm just might be done with wrestling. They put him like in a Royal Rumble match.
They probably will. They've always done that for ages. Heck, they had Gilbert in the Royal Rumble.
They had Drew Carey in the Royal Rumble. Drew Carey.
Okay, for Hell in a Cell, yes, there's only going to be 3 Hell in a Cell matches. Overall, there will be 5 matches overall.
Oh, boy.
But it's for all the titles. The Cruiserweight title will be on the line. T.J. Perkins, who's the champion, will face former WWE, well, current WWE wrestler, but also the WWE alumni, Brian Kendrick. And then And then for the tag teams, it's going to be the New Day, Vicky, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods versus, listen to this, Cesaro and Sheamus
Oh boy.
for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship. And supposedly, from what I've been hearing, rumors are the New Day is probably going to win. Cesaro will be out. That he's ending his contract. He's done with WWE. That he's leaving.
Well, we all
But
thought
they-
Ziggler was going to be done, and he ended up winning the IC
Yeah.
belt.
So it's possible Cesaro and Sheamus could win the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship just because Cesaro's contract may be up and they want to keep him on. So they go, hey, let's give it to Cesaro and Sheamus. So that's a match I could see where the big New Day could possibly lose the title. TJ Perkins versus Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick's a WWE alumni. Obviously, he's the older guy. I don't see Brian Kendrick winning the title. I think TJ Perkins is the future of that division. I think he's going to have that for a while still to make it mean something. So I don't think Kendrick's going to win it yet.
I mean, if you
So I
want to
think-
promote your tag team division, do it like the winner of like the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic automatically gets the tag team title match.
But I'm pretty sure that the only match where the championship could possibly change is the tag team titles. The United States title, Roman Reigns just won the title not that long ago. So I don't think they're going to let Roman Reigns.
Win him. Even if
Roman
it's
Reigns
so,
does that. Well, I don't see Rollins losing. I mean, I don't see Rollins beating Kevin Owens either. I really don't see that.
especially if they're going in the direction of putting Rollins against Triple H at WrestleMania.
And if it's Rollins against Triple H at WrestleMania, no title should be on the line for that. It should be
It should be
nothing but it should be an all-out brawl match, is what it should be.
Oh yeah.
That's
Like-
what it should be.
Like who can do the pedigree?
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly where they're going down with it. Look at
me and my wife.
exactly look at the way they had it scripted between Rollins and Stephanie McMahon about how he's going to basically take charge now. Obviously, you know now that Rollins is going to be the face, but he's going to use the same exact move that Triple H has used. Now, Triple H will lose to Rollins at WrestleMania.
Well, you think
He's
he's gonna put him over?
Oh, he's going to put him over.
I mean, if it's best for business, I don't see why. Why he doesn't?
Triple H does looking for best for business, and on this one, Triple H is not even a full-time wrestler anymore.
Oh yeah.
What's there to gain? What's there to gain with them beating Rollins? Look at it; it would help out Rollins' character anyway later on, because then Rollins could come back and then take on Owens and take down Owens at next year's WrestleMania, or even before next year's WrestleMania, and win the Universal title again.
Sure.
That's what I see happening, and then you'd have Rollins against Finn Balor at some point later on. And that would be the perfect match for Finn Balor to regain his title again.
Yeah, well, technically he never lost the belt because he had to surrender it.
Exactly. Because he faced Rollins the first time, have him face Rollins the second time again, and then have him regain that title again. But that's the way I look at it. If I was one of the writers, I think that would make great sense. It would make a lot of money for them. At least I think so. But the one match I'm most disappointed with, and I'm not highly impressed with it, is Roman Reigns versus Rusev
Boy.
for the United States title. That's the one match I am not impressed with.
I mean, I could understand putting Roman in the mid card. That's where he probably should have been for the last couple of years. But why'd you take that U.S. title off Rusev? He was just doing some pretty good work.
I agree. Rusev has been doing some pretty good work. It's not Rusev that I'm not impressed with. It's Roman Reigns. I mean, Roman Reigns is getting old.
Like this whole one versus all crap. It was like it wasn't even interesting last year when he was in the Royal Rumble defending the title. 'Cause we all know,
Well,
I think we all had an idea he wasn't gonna win.
well, the one versus all crap. The reason why it was that, anyways, because Triple H came back. And if you want to talk about who the one is, it's Triple H. Come on,
Mm.
look who he's married to.
Oh yeah,
Can you not say that he's the one?
yeah, she's breath. Yeah, oh, about to say she's breath for business.
That's about right when it comes to the backstage influence.
Yeah,
But yeah, Triple H is obviously the one. He's won tons of titles. Okay, may never have had that streak anyway. He never will have that streak. But uh, Triple H from the get go, except for obviously when the click happened, having that little encounter back in Madison Square Garden way a while back when
well,
Kevin Nash and Scott Hall left. Before
well,
after
well,
that
yeah.
happened, that's
Well,
what
really,
really.
he's the only one who could uh 'cause I guess apparently some stories were floating around that he was supposed to win the '96 sixth King of the Ring, but
Yeah, actually, he was supposed to win King of the Ring. He was supposed to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was the guy that was supposed to be the face of the company. He was actually going to be a baby face, but because of what he did, that in the wrestling world, and most people in wrestling know this, that you don't put over any heels, even if you're great friends. You don't do that stuff in the ring. You do that backstage. You don't let people know that in real life you four are very, very great friends. You don't let people know that when you're in the ring. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Say goodbye to your hugs and that's perfectly fine. But in the ring, they wanted to make sure that the storyline was real, that it's as real as possible. And when that happened, obviously Vince had to change stories in that. And that's
he
why
couldn't,
Triple H got in more trouble than anyone else because Shawn
he
Michaels,
couldn't punish Shawn because he was champion.
and
He,
he had it made. He was in there for a long more time. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were leaving, so the only guy that they had left was obviously Paul Levesque, Triple H. But if it showed anything, the guy that's lasted the longest of wrestling now, it's Triple
yeah.
H.
I mean,
He
Michael had a
is
bad back.
he is the king. He's the king of wrestling. No, he's not the Phenom, and he will not be like the Undertaker. He's the king, and that's why he's called the King of Kings. And then was going from Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series.
First
I don't
time
know.
he did it in what 19 years.
Survivor Series, that sounds about right. It came a little bit after WrestleMania, if I remember right. The big four, obviously, the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, obviously, and the biggest one of them all, WrestleMania. Well, Survivor, if you talk about all the big four pay per views, Survivor Series has been going downhill for a while. So they're trying to come up with a new way because of this new era to make Survivor Series good again. So they decided to combine bragging rights with um, the Survivor Series. So they're gonna have
Really? Um,
three three big uh, matches for five best men of Raw against the five best men of SmackDown, five best tag teams of Raw versus the five best tag teams of SmackDown, and the five best women of Raw versus the five best women on SmackDown.
and really, what I think makes Survivor Series, I guess, stand out back in the day was that the elimination matches actually had meaning. I mean, you look back to, let's see, the Foreigners versus the Americans, the Hearts versus the Knights. Kind of started the whole Brett Owen thing.
And, and that's the thing I would like to see is not even just Raw and SmackDown, but I have these actually made up tag teams where you've got like from long ago, like how the Undertaker got introduced to the WWE our team and made a big statement coming into Survivor Series. That's the type of match I would like to see again. I mean, the Raw and SmackDown thing's okay. It's not that bad. The thing that makes it a little bit better is you got Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg too. A little old
Actually,
also.
place Survivor Series.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's got to be going on in Survivor Series. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg too.
still think that should be WrestleMania, but what do I know about wrestling?
Like, it's possible they may face off against each other at WrestleMania, but I mean, I'm impressed that they're going to do that. Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon are going to do those 3 elimination matches, but I just wish there was a little bit more substance to that. I wish you would actually have that, even in real life, are very good friends, and then when they're in the ring, they're part of the team.
Yeah.
Or at least they could show on camera that they're one whole cohesive team, and they show that they're better than this other team. And there's this big rivalry going on, and it all climaxes to Survivor Series. Well, I mean, it's sort of doing that because of Raw and SmackDown, because you got this new era. They got back to how the Gresham era was. So I mean, it's okay that they're doing that, but I really like the old Survivor Series, like the early 1990s and even the late 80s, where you had teams that were vindictive to each other, where they went after each other all the time, where they had all this drama in that. I mean, you had even surprise appearances. Like, and here's one guy that probably made the biggest surprise appearance, probably one of the greatest legends of wrestling, which is The Undertaker.
Like, I think it started slowly going downhill after Montreal. I mean, yeah, you had that great spot in 2000 where Austin dropped Triple H like 40 feet from a car and went back. But it's like, ever since then, what have we really seen memorable from Survivor Series? Not much.
Yeah, Survivor Series, since after what happened with Bret Hart, the Montreal screw job, Survivor Series has just kept going downhill since then. I mean, it's gone up a little bit here and there, having Raw versus SmackDown. The one thing that would have been really cool is having like the League of Nations. The League of Nations against another faction, like or like having the League of Nations having Roman Reigns with Dean Ambrose and the Usos. Great match made there. But obviously, SmackDown split them up.
And
so
the
we'll never
heel,
so we will never see that now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible later on, maybe, but as of now, we won't see that. So, am I that impressed with Survivor Series? Overall, I think it's going to be a lot better than it has been in a long, long while. It has really lost its taste. So, and I think this is a good way forward move to where they may actually make more money again. But the one pay-per-view they still got a lot of work to do is Survivor Series. But this, I think, is a good step forward.
Definitely the week of the Big Four, but yeah, I'd say the only reason that they put Goldberg Lesnar at Survivor Series was to promote the game.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. They want to make more money and they want to up the ante for Survivor Series to make sure that they can have dream matches even in Survivor Series now. And and hopefully with that they can come up with these fake teams like they did way back in the past. Like I said, with the Hart Dynasty versus the $1 Million team. So I mean, I love those old Survivor Series matches, those Survivor Series elimination matches where you had, and it was actually 4-on-4. It wasn't 5-on-5. It was 4-on-4.
Like I said, they had meaning. I mean, sometimes they even outshine the actual title match. But I think onto this. You want to get onto the subject of the night, which I think I have. I don't know if I actually discussed with you, but I'm gonna talk about our 5 best feuds.
5 best feuds
in overall WWE history.
Okay, well, number 5. Well, I would have to go.
What do you want to do?
Sting versus Hulk Hogan would be my number 5.
I was gonna say we could do honorable mentions first, but okay, we'll save those for before number 1. But okay.
Number 5 would be Sting versus Hulk Hogan for me. The reason why I say that, that was the core of the reason why WCW, at least for the ratings war, was doing fairly well financially. If it wasn't for that rivalry right there, WCW never would have had it made. Especially signing Hulk Hogan from obviously the old time WWF, bring him over to WCW, and then you have obviously Sting, who was the mainstay, the icon, the guy that really brought WCW to where it. And all those other people involved, but he's the one wrestling character that really made WCW what it was. And if it wasn't for that rivalry, WCW at least never would have been able to at least still keep close to the ratings war for WWF at that time for a long time. It's unfortunate still they got bought out, but with that rivalry, it kept it close for a long time.
Okay, my number 5. It's gonna be a bit of a personal one, but okay, my number 5, John Cena versus Edge. And I say this.
Oh yeah, that was personal.
That was a bit of a personal feud between the two. I mean, Edge basically cashed in his money in the bank on John Cena at the now defunct New Year's Revolution, which I will say was a good pay-per-view nonetheless for Raw. But he cashes in, wins the belt, and then goes on to have the highest rated segment in Raw history. I can't believe that. That was the highest rated segment in Raw history. That's just awesome.
It is awesome. Very awesome indeed. The rated R segment with him and Alita. Oh dear.
Yeah, over the next few months they would trade, victories for the belt. Cena would cost Edge the title. Edge would cost, Edge would cost Cena the title, and even Edge even went to John Cena's hometown. Actually went into his home and slapped and basically bitch slapped his father. Now that was funny.
That was funny. That was.
But I still think, when they had the TLC match in Toronto, I still think Edge should have gone over.
I agree. He is a Canadian. He was the big star at the time. He should have gone over, but history is history.
Of course. Okay, so we now go on number 4. Your number 4.
My number 4. This might actually intrigue you a little bit. Because this one actually was a little personal too, but it actually goes more into personal. These two actually are best friends now, but at the time they despised each other. And that's Shawn Michaels versus Triple H.
Good choice.
It was during the Aggression era. Well, before that, I was during the Attitude era. Triple H became the new leader of DX because Shawn Michaels was having his drug problems and all that crap. So he was just getting tired of being the number one guy all the time. He wanted someone else to take the spot over for him, to where he wouldn't have to be the number one guy all the time. Because obviously, at the time, before Shawn Michaels and all that, WWF was hurting. So obviously they had to have the guy to put him over, which would be Shawn Michaels. Because when Bret Hart left, Shawn Michaels was able to take the title, and then when that happened, all things got worse and worse from there. It started going downhill, and then his friendship with Triple H, in real life, Paul Levesque, went downhill for quite a while, for quite a few months. He got himself injured. Obviously, it was probably a good time for Shawn Michaels to leave at that point. And though Vince would bring him back later on, and even Triple H at the time thought there's no way Shawn Michaels could be able to wrestle again. Well, fortunately, he did come back. So they used all their personal animosity they had towards each other back in the past, the Attitude Era, and they used that for a storyline during the Aggression Era. And that I thought was to be a really good storyline because of that. Because if you want to talk about all the best personal rivalries, that was probably the best personal rivalry of all time in the WWE. Was those two, because they were best of friends. They they despised each other for a while, but then they reconciled, came back, and then they had their story put on television from what happened in their real life into their little feud when Triple H was part of Evolution and Shawn Michaels was obviously the NWO when he was on his own, and they had Triple H screwing Shawn Michaels. He's come back when in reality he actually wasn't back yet. But I thought that's my number 4 rivalry.
My number 4, my number 4. This was tough to kind of decide between number 4 and number 3. But my number 4, another John Cena feud. But my number 4 is John Cena versus CM Punk. So why did I choose this? Obviously at the time. This feud is about who's the better, but who's the best, and actually more or less it started out as the fact that Punk felt like he was being held back because of John Cena getting title shot after title shot after title shot after title shot. So in his hometown of Chicago, Fitz tries and pulls a Montreal screw job and fails big time because John Cena wanted to finish this like a man, which came back to bite him. Punk wins the belt, leaves the company, which we all know he didn't leave. He just wanted. He just knew that Triple H wanted more money and more purpose, which is totally understandable. But Punk wins in Chicago, comes back 8 days later as the hero savior for all the people. And then their year-long rivalry kind of starts to build up as, let's see, Punk wins at SummerSlam, gets jumped by Nash and gets cashed in on. Then go to Hell in a Cell. Del Rio, who I really have noticed before, but another subject for another day. Del Rio beats him, and then Survivor Series, Punk wins the title back, goes on his 434-day title reign, where he beat Cena more times than, well, I guess we could say that he came up with the moniker "beat up John Cena." But goes on his 434-day title reign, drops it to The Rock, which I still don't agree with to this day. I mean, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, what's your number 3?
My number 3, this actually was a very, very big rivalry. Long, but it was a very, very big rivalry, knowing of these two iconic wrestlers. We started at WrestleMania 18, The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. Obviously, you've got the big icon of Hulk Hogan, who was the big mainstay for WWE at that time for a long period of time. Then obviously he changed, went to WCW. So then the new era of people came up, the new crop, and then the new guy that would take Hulk Hogan's spot would be The Rock. WrestleMania 18 comes around. Those two go against each other, icon versus icon. And that made a lot of money for them, and that's what really transcended WWE to just a whole new atmosphere, to where you knew then that I make dream matches, even though some of these matches still are pretty sloppy, but that match there showed WWE has been throughout the history of professional wrestling. What's your number 3?
My number 3, my number 3 basically goes through sibling hell, and I think you kind of know where I'm going at. But my number 3 is Brett versus Owen.
Yeah, that was a good rivalry.
Owen always felt he was living in Brett's shadow. He never got the recognition that I think he deserved. I think
I would agree with that.
So,
I think Owen should have got more than what he deserved. I agree with that.
Barcer's 93, he's the only one to get eliminated out of their team, and he feels that he's in Brett's shadow. So then we fast forward to 94, they have their match. Owen wins, but Brett still comes out the big winner by winning the belt. SummerSlam 94, Brett and Owen in a cage match, which I still think if you have the King of the Ring, the guy win the King of the Ring, you should have won the belt. Should have won the belt.
I guess now on to my number 2.
Instead of giving it to that 18th second Bob Backlund. Why do you give it to Bob Backlund of all people? Yeah, well, only to have him lose it to Diesel like what? A few days later, maybe not even a month later. Yeah, go on to your number 2.
My number 2 rivalry. This is a big rivalry, a very big rivalry for. And if it was for this rivalry, WWE wouldn't be where it's at right now. And this is what made big money for them. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Yes, I am an Undertaker mark. I'll agree with that. But this made a lot of money for them. This has been a very heated rivalry for a long time, even backstage. Everybody knows the heated rivalry between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. Everybody, overall, I think if you want to talk about who the better overall wrestler was Shawn Michaels. The better overall showman was Shawn Michaels. That's why he's called the showstopper. But if you want to talk about who the big leader was, the guy that everyone followed, it was The Undertaker, Mark Calloway. And Mark Calloway had a lot of sometimes disgust for Shawn Michaels in real life. And that's why they decided to put him inside the ring. And it showed how much he's been pissed off at him. Like even the Judgment Day wrestling match with Triple H versus The Rock and the Iron Man match, where Shawn Michaels is the guest referee, and then he eliminates The Rock because of Undertaker tombstoning Triple H, and Undertaker just starts following Shawn Michaels. Going, "You gotta be kidding me, you little punk!" And obviously he walks down and follows him. That rivalry, the rivalry just kept on upping the ante until you got to WrestleMania 25 and 26, where it finally came to an end, and everyone knew who was going to win. Because used to, when it first started, Shawn Michaels would always be able to take out Undertaker, always. But then flip-flopped to where it flipped over, and then Shawn Michaels finally got the 1, 2, 3, and the rivalry ended on probably the highest note you could probably ever have for any wrestling match, for any wrestling rivalry. You want to talk about the best wrestling rivalry that ended at the highest point? It's that rivalry right there.
Now you're going back as far as like 97 with these two, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, not the early days. I'm talking about with the Attitude Era. That's when Shawn Michaels was obviously taking down Undertaker, not like none other, where he would always be able just one step ahead compared to the Undertaker.
My number 2. Oh boy, number 2. My 2 and my number 1 both basically shaped the era that we grew up on. But yeah, my number 2 is Austin versus The Rock. And this was basically about who was the best, who was the better man. Honestly, I'm still an Austin guy to this day, even though I did like The Rock as equal. I think that anybody in the ring to outperform Austin, it was The Rock. But these two fought at 3 WrestleManias, WrestleMania 15, 7. Kind of ironic how they fought at odd-numbered WrestleManias.
That is a little weird and strange, but hey.
They fought at WrestleMania 15. Austin won the belt. Fought at 17 with Austin's infamous heel turn, which I think was poorly executed, by the way. You have the dude basically align himself with the guy that he's been feuding with for 2 years. And I'm like, why? Who on the creative team was high when they wrote this story out? Uh, and then you have The Rock come back as like this big Hollywood big shot, and he's getting booed by the fans, and he wants one more WrestleMania match with Austin, where he finally gets, where he finally, in his words, whips that bald king, and wins finally. But I think before we get to our number ones, you have
Honorable mentions.
like an honorable mention.
One honorable mention. I've got probably about 2 or 3. My first honorable mention: Edge versus Matt Hardy. One of the nastiest rivalries I've ever seen. I don't know what rivalry is then. The nastiest rivalry of all of them, because that actually did deal with crap because of Edge having an extra or having an affair with Lita, who was Matt Hardy's girlfriend at the time, or wife. All broke loose from there. John Cena
get Matt Hardy fired, actually.
Yeah, I did. That's why I think that's definitely one of the honorable mentions, because it's a very interesting rivalry. Another rivalry. I gotta have to go with Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, which did not happen that long ago. That was a big rivalry. And then, actually,
that started in 2003. Yeah.
And this rivalry deals with factions. But I think you could see my point on this, even though they never really faced off against each other. But they did face each other off during the ratings war. NWO versus D Generation X.
Oh yeah, I do remember when DX invaded WCW. That was funny.
Oh yeah, but that was actually, if it was for really that rivalry there, not one bit.
Oh really? I think you wouldn't have had an extra if one for in ECW. Just my opinion.
True, but that's the same. Without the NWO, you couldn't have D Generation X. And without D Generation X, you couldn't have NWO. And what a surprise. The people that were part of both those groups were obviously the greatest of friends in real life backstage, called The Click.
Well, really, Hogan was leading the NWO, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, but let's see.
What's your honorable mentions?
My honorable mention. Oh boy, a hard one. This is a hard one to leave out of top five, just because this really exposed this dude for being a whiny crybaby, and I think kind of set him on the course to leave the WWE until he came back later and went to WCW. Austin versus Brett.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, here you got a 5-time WWE champion who's looking for the respect I believe he deserves, and he loses to Shawn at WrestleMania 12, kind of loses his smile-esque kind of thing. He loses the title, loses respect with the fans because he's now pro-Canadian. He comes back in '96 to take on Austin, who at the time wasn't that liked by many of the fans, but he was getting traction. But one match set him to be the toughest SOB, and that was WrestleMania 13, and that submission match. Submission match was glorious. But No, Austin versus Brett was probably one of the best rivalries they had that Austin had. Okay. So what's your number one?
My number one is it was one rivalry you already talked about, but I'll probably go just a little bit further. It's The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. If it wasn't for those two, I want to be where it's at right now. That rivalry is what actually that rivalry is what made WWE become so huge. You know, the rivalry didn't really happen until later on in their career. The character of what those two characters did within the WWE before the rivalry started. That's what makes their story much greater compared to probably any of the other wrestlers and any other rivalries ever, because of what they both did by storyline, by bringing up the WWF, raising the bar up higher and higher all the time with those two. That's why I consider the rivalry the greatest rivalry of all time, because obviously WWF won the ratings war, the Attitude Era. And then, of course, you have The Rock and Stone Cold go out against each other at 3 WrestleManias, where The Rock usually lost even WrestleMania or pay-per-views to Stone Cold Steve Austin until the very last WrestleMania. The Rock finally beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. But if it wasn't for those two characters, WWE wouldn't be where it's at right now if it wasn't for those two, especially how the rivalry came to be.
I'm gonna kind of take a segue off your number one and going to my number one. My number one definitely was the feud that I think won the war. My number one is Austin versus McMahon. I mean, every week you'd want to tune into Raw to see what he would do next to McMahon. I mean, if it wasn't pouring cement in his car to attack him in the hospital with a bedpan and shove an IV up his ear, if it wasn't just anything you could do that you wanted to do to your boss, Austin did it to him. And he was basically living out what we want to do to our bosses every week. It's like, and I think this feud got a lot of people to stop channel switching and stop channel surfing from WCW to WWE back and forth. I mean, it made Austin and McMahon's characters that much better. And I think Austin's actually solely responsible for making the Mr. McMahon character. I don't think Montreal had really a lot to do with it. I mean, yeah, Montreal kind of planted the seeds for the Mr. McMahon character, but Austin brought it out big time.
Well, this has been Toronto, and we hope to see you next time on the show. Have a good night.